Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Welcome. You've come here today in the spirit of deep inquiry to ask yourself this question: who am I? What am I? What is here now? Are you prepared for you to be destroyed? For who you think you are, you have been, you hope to be. To be completely unraveled. In the truth of your own presence. If you have come here seeking a better version of who you think you are, seeking to be someone other than who you are, best that you leave now. This one, who you think you are, is the very same one that has brought you here. But this one is only a gateway. A gateway into truth, knowing the self. Paradoxically, in order to step through the gateway, you must be willing to let go of who you think you are, think you have been. Let go of what has brought you here in your mind. Let go. This is your constant companion now. And in this moment of letting go, you cannot survive. This is good news. to understand who am I, what am I, what is aware here. Simply let go of who you think you are, who you have been, who you imagine you will be, especially if you imagine you will be someone different when you awaken. Of course, there are differences. Between the jiva the one before recognition, and the yani. But the major difference is for the jiva, there is still a me. And because there is a me, there is a you. And because there is a you, there is a they. For the yani, all of these categories have dissolved in the truth of being consciousness, which is aware, naked, and has dissolved into constant happiness. In order for you to look deeply and realize that this being consciousness and this happiness are already yours, you must let go of this you that you have imagined yourself to be for such a long time. This you, up to this point, has been your ally without you even knowing it. Everything that this you went through to come here was necessary in order for you to come here, in order for you to hear this message. So you can honor this you while being willing to let her go, to let him dissolve. With the joy of a job well done. And nothing more that needs to be held onto, or clung to, or pushed away. Come into the immediacy of this, here, now. You can feel it. You are it. This being consciousness is what enables you, allows you to know in this very moment, I am, or I exist. This is not a thought, is it? This is a very deep recognition. The very first one you have each day, when you wake into the waking state, this is not a thought. This is a deep knowing. I am here. If you ask yourself the question, was awareness here before this thought rose upon awakening, I exist, you will know with an uncluttered mind, of course, I was aware. I wasn't aware of sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, or thought. A moment ago, I was in deep sleep, but nonetheless I was aware. I know this because I've woken up refreshed. I slept well, even though there was no mind present. This is not to say the mind is a bad thing. Mind is just mind. Mind is the field in which all phenomenon are available to you, rising spontaneously in the mind through the use of the sense doors and thought for you to investigate, enjoy, and come to know yourself as that which is aware, not only in the waking state, not only as the body, mind, and world in which the body moves, not only in past, present, and future, but as that which was here in deep sleep, in dream, and is now present in the waking state. This is the beginning, this knowledge of standing in the gateway. As this you dissolves through your inquiry, who or what is this I? The light of awareness is seen and is known to be present throughout waking, dreaming, and sleeping, throughout past, present, and future. It is that which is unmoved in all of these different states of body, mind, and world, through all of these different experiences in past, present, and imagined into the future. This awareness, which you are, is the light that illuminates all of this experience. If you would know who you really are, turn toward that source. The objects, the phenomenon, in body, mind, and world, past, present, and future, are coming and going spontaneously, as is their nature, in the nature of mind. You are the watcher. And though watching is happening, witnessing is happening, there is no one truly experiencing anything. Can you see this? Look in your own experience and see if you can understand where I'm pointing. This awareness, which you are, has always been here. And after this body-mind has dissolved, it will remain. It is shining through each and every one of you now, experiencing itself as body, mind, and world. Knowing various aspects of itself through body, mind, and world. It remains free, untouched, unborn, undying. It has been here as long as you can remember, and is not dependent on this particular body-mind that you have at this moment. In order to know this, turn toward that which is aware and know, I am that. Stand in this gateway until the heart opens completely and you are dissolved. In this moment, what is recognized is nothing is dissolved because nothing ever was. Only that which is aware is real, eternal, unborn, and undying. I am that. Know this to be your true nature. Rest in the happiness of this knowledge. Not as knowledge of the mind, but as true knowing. You are that. All right, we have a microphone here, so if you'd like to speak with me for a moment, let's clear your doubts.
Hello.
Take your time.
Thank you.
Take a breath.
When I arrived here 3 weeks ago, I didn't know why. Since I was a kid, I have had experiences that I struggle to sometimes understand in terms of being contacted by other beings in other places, hearing and seeing and feeling things. So in this inquiry to self, I'm having a real struggle with understanding what is happening to me, or this vessel that I'm in, extracting the ego and wanting to hold on to something. And in the last 3 weeks, with this self-inquiry and being in these spaces and being in your presence, it is intensified. And I am experiencing things that I can't explain. I feel my heart opening, but I also feel a lot of fear coming up. And I'm also feeling that I am questioning these experiences. I feel like there's also conversations that I'm having, and I'm hearing that they could be distractions. But when they're happening and when I'm channeling, the mind isn't present.
Right. There's an immediacy to them, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your question is?
I'm trying to understand if this is ego or if this is, I guess, trying to understand what is happening with this landing of the words that I'm hearing.
Yeah.
But also not wanting to lose sight of these things that are very present in a moment.
Yes, they are present in a moment, right? But where are they now? In this moment?
Not here, right now.
Not here. So you can say, through your own experience, they are coming and going. Correct?
Yeah.
So, if you understand that what is coming and going, the impermanence of those experiences, is pointing you toward their unreal nature, can say. Not to say that they don't appear real in the moment that the experience is happening. Simply to say that they can be seen, they are seen as unreal in the sense that they don't remain. But that's not really the issue. What was present, what is present here now, in this moment, right now, there, which was also present during that experience, or any number of those experiences going back over a lifetime. What is it that is true, knowable, in every single one of those experiences and in this moment? What is the common denominator? Is it the experiences themselves, which were coming and going and have different flavors and characters? Or is it that which is here now having this experience? You see? That essence doesn't change regardless of the presence or absence of experience or experiences. It doesn't change regardless of the intensity or the boredom that comes from different kinds of experiences. So if you want to know the truth of who you are, you have to know what is the foundation on which you're standing and on which all of these experiences are standing. You must know it not just as a concept, but you have to know it through your own experience, so that when these very strong and intense and meaningful experiences come, meaningful to this personality at this point, when these experiences come, there is a place to anchor, to observe, to witness, to ask the question, to whom do these experiences come? To whom does this thinking come? To whom does this fear come? Once that anchor is there and well established, whatever comes can be watched, witnessed, experienced, observed, played in without fear. Yes? The only way to know the true nature, not only of who you are, but the true nature of experience, is to be able to connect with that which is always aware of every experience in body, mind, and world. This takes some practice and some effort. This is the nature of inquiry, is to establish this foundation so that you can test the truth of what is real and what is unreal against the faculty that you already possess of discrimination, and you can see that what in your own experience, that what is coming and going, which has as its dominant characteristic impermanence, only has momentary reality. It doesn't have any sense of permanent reality. And you can ask yourself, well, am I interested in that or not? If what my interest is what is real, permanent, stable, standing on a firm foundation, then I must constantly turn toward that. And then the questions of what is this, is it important, is it valuable to me, and so on, those questions will be answered by the inquiry, not by the mind which is trying to understand or figure out what is happening here. And is it important, and should I pay attention or not? So just continue, but make your primary practice be standing in whatever is here now and knowing yourself to be that which is aware. You are not the thinker, the doer, the experiencer. Doing, experiencing is happening, apparently, but what is watching that? This is the gateway that I'm talking about, that will point you back toward understanding your true nature. Not me.
Hi. Just a quick question regarding effort versus effortlessness. Since the meditative state is, or should be, absolutely effortless, since we're not dealing with a technique or method at all, where does the effort come in? I mean, we could do a formal sitting to get into the thing, but even the sadhana itself, we spoke about that briefly like a few days or last week ago. The sadhana itself becomes at some point just like a natural, effortless tool, so to speak. Somehow, I don't know, the mind still wants to do more, or there's some
Well, yeah, sure.
effort.
Yeah, that's the nature of mind, isn't it? The nature of mind is that way. The mind wants to do more.
So just not
see more, experience more.
So just see it, just let it play out, and just follow the natural impulse that comes from within. Where sitting is happening not at a set hour,
Well,
it's just unfolding by itself.
Yes, but in that case where the mind is trying to take over, there is some effort that is required, and it is the effort simply to
Here comes the
remember,
point.
I am, not as a thought, but as a felt, I exist, It's like, this question that I ask all the time when I point right at you and say, do you exist? What do you say?
Yes.
Yes, right away. There's no hesitancy, right? So, it's that feeling that even if I catch you unawares or catch you in some surprise way and say, are you aware? There's a spontaneous, really, really quick, almost unrecognizable looking to make sure you're here, right? Yes, I'm here. You double check, but it happens so fast you don't even see it.
Right.
But I am aware, I am here, right? So it's that feeling in that spontaneous answer which is sustained throughout the sit. In Zen, they call this practice shikantaza, which means just sitting. So this means just being here with an open mind, an open heart, and without attraction toward anything.
Yes.
So that the sound is coming and going, sensations are coming and going in the body. All of this is happening in its as it's wont to do in its natural state, right? But there is nothing being done about it. There's no attention being given to it. And if that starts to happen as an aspect of conditioning or a habit pattern,
Yes.
then some small effort is required to ask oneself, do you exist? And come back to that immediacy. Not as a thought, but as that spontaneous immediacy that comes when I say, do you exist? And you say yes, instantly. So there's that immediacy is there.
Yeah. This flow is not quite established, it's not quite there. There's still too much importance giving to the surface mind, its movements, and like the thought itself.
Well, yeah, that's true, absolutely. But I promise you that if you sit for the next 10 years giving too much attention to the surface mind, it will eventually crack. It can't be sustained.
Okay. Because the other day also said that one should take care that the inquiry itself should not stay at the surface level, else you don't penetrate really to the depth. And that's very dangerous, because that can also lead to some states of leya, which are these temporary suspended states of mind, which some of the meditators can spend years in, thinking they're blissfully in some high realm, but they're just caught up in some other mental trap or some layer of the subtle mind, and this becomes pretty dangerous then, actually, for the sadhana itself and for oneself to realize.
Yes, and it's also true that if you spend years in leya in the same way that if you spend years in that kind of mental contemplation I just talked about, the same thing actually ends up happening. It can't be sustained. For the sadhak, someone who has made this agreement before ever taking this body and is just renewing their vow, if you will. Yes. These states of mind cannot be sustained. They may go on a long time. But if you realize that in the recognition, only awareness is, that when that awareness dawns truthfully and opens the heart, one of the very, very first recognitions is, I have always been this. So what does it matter if you spent 10 years in leya? You see that is known to be the same dream as when you wake up in the morning and say, oh, I was dreaming and now I'm not. Once the recognition comes, that which is aware is here now. It has always been here. I have never been born. I have never died. I have always existed. I will always exist. That which is aware is here now. Whatever came before has disappeared. Not because they weren't experiences at the moment, like you're describing, but because you have disappeared. This you, which was the support for all of these experiences, has now disappeared. And it's recognized to have been a dream. And it's known immediately, just like the dream into the waking state moment, that it never existed. It was a dream. So, yeah, spend 10 years in Leo or, this is nothing. This is nothing. And there are no mistakes. Understand, please, there are no mistakes in your sadhana. If you find yourself continually coming to your cushion, and for a day, a week, a month, 10 years, you find yourself falling into laya states, so?
I didn't say I was in Lea for 10 years, but yeah.
No.
For the sake of example, yes, sorry.
It is true that a laya state is not going to
Get you anywhere.
can you say that truly? It's not going to get you anywhere?
Yeah, it's
following the laya state, there is a moment of awakening and everything disappears. And
absolutely, yeah. This is a mental thing, like a trap in itself again. I see it, it's seen, yes.
So it is
right.
true that through thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of meditators, it has been proven that the laya state gets you nowhere. Okay? No doubt. Really? If some of those meditators awakened out of the laya state, then who's to say it's valuable or isn't? And I know that some have.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. I spent a lot of years practicing at a monastery in California as a weekend practitioner, as a lay practitioner, as a family person. And there was one man who was a really serious yogi. He actually lived for a period of about a year and a half. He was working in Silicon Valley, and he was living in a cave.
Wow.
Yeah, not far from the monastery in the mountains. Going to work every day and coming back and living in this cave. And he was so discouraged after about 2 or 3 years of this, and he came in and the master was there, and he said, I don't understand. Every time I come into this space, I come in with such a beautiful intention and a strong resolve, and I come in feeling invigorated, but 5 minutes after I get here, I fall asleep. And I'm falling asleep every sit. He was coming for the Saturday sits, which was like, those of you who haven't been in a Buddhist monastery, it's like sit, walk, sit, walk, sit, walk. And this goes on for, 4 hours on a Saturday afternoon. He said, and you could see him. He would come in, he would sit, and after 5 minutes, he would be leaning against the wall. And this was so frustrating to him. This went on for a year or more. The master said, it's not a problem. Stop making it a problem. Just show up here. Come every time. Come for every sit. Go for every walk. Don't worry. It's fine. And after about a year or a year and a half, he was awake here. Never fell asleep again.
Okay. Tipped over. Yeah. I see. Yeah, because this is unfamiliar to me. I never experienced this type of drowsy states, and the instrument or this body-mind vessel is inherently quite energetic. And so it's I have to have a full stomach, which rarely happens anymore anyway. I'm not doing those things. I'm eating like a quarter of what I used to eat. and so it's just impossible. It's familiar when it's really loaded and heavy, this heaviness.
Yeah, just be prepared for whatever sadhana you used to do and whatever sadhana you are doing now to change, because that's what will always happen. And all sadhanas, all tools, all practices in the final analysis are honored for what they are and what they have been and their place they have been in our sadhana, but they are abandoned. So
yes. It's just the raft getting you across ultimately.
yes, you have to take the raft off your head when you get to the other side.
Exactly.
You can't put it on your head and carry it in
Infinitely,
inland. And that doesn't mean that you won't continue some of the same practices. I mean, if you are here now as being consciousness, there will still be moments when you will fall into deep meditative reverie. The bliss of being is so sweet, so enjoyable. You know, it takes so much effort to be a me.
I was almost about to say a dangerous one too, almost. Yes and
Not for the
yes
awakened one, though. Not for one who has a firm grasp of what is real.
Yes.
If you have a firm grasp of what is real, that grasp isn't lessened by the fact that you no longer have the capacity to make an effort to be any kind of a me. When you no longer have the capacity to be a me, this blissful reverie just comes on its own. It's always there under the surface, but if you stop the mind, let the mind go, simply be here as awareness in the silence of your own being, not necessarily in a silent environment, but in the awareness of your own being, then this reverie can just be there. You see, I do these things, I love having these kinds of conversations because it points always to the central understanding that you don't know what anything is. You don't know who you are, what your experiences are, what they mean, what their value is, what their lack of value is. You have no idea. It is this mind that thinks it knows something that you are chopping at the root. So, let us know what your ideas are, but understand I'm going to tell you to chop it at the root. There is nothing that you know what it is until you know what everything is. Okay, we have time for one more. Anyone?
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
If the mind wants to change a behavior, is it enough to drop the thought, or is it better to always inquire into that? Who is wanting to change the behavior?
To whom does this thought come?
Yes.
This desire to change the behavior?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's always necessary to inquire.
Well, that's
into
the
that.
opportunity for having that kind of an experience arise, is to be able to use the inquiry right there in that moment.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
the opportunity that's there. Otherwise, what happens is you become the struggle that's involved in, I want to change this, that, or the other. In other words, I want to be a different me, I want to be a better me, I want to be,
Yeah, because there's an awareness that when a behavior wants to be changed, quite often it can be just dropped because it can be seen through this awareness. Then there's that. I noticed that it's a loop, it's a repetition, it's something that continues to want to be changed, and then there's the desire that doesn't happen.
So where is that thought right now? Because you're describing something to me that I have the sense is you're describing an experience from memory.
Yes.
It's not here right now, correct?
Yes.
That's your solution. That's your path. Is this recognition that if you don't focus on it, if your attention isn't there, it's just in whatever is here now, then you don't ever pick up that argument within your own mind, and you also don't pick up the behavior. Because you have noticed that the tendency has risen in the body-mind, but you are doing nothing about it. You are in fact turning away from it, not as a matter of denial, but as a way of saying, no thank you.
Yeah.
I am not that. No thank you.
Yeah.
And turning toward what I am, which is that which is aware both of the behavior and the tendency to want to change it or to make it different. So all of that becomes an internal dialogue, which is seen to be a repetitious tape loop in the mind. And that's because you have anchored attention in awareness of that particular phenomenon. The difficulty we have with these kinds of things, like I want to change this behavior, is that we have obviously identified with that desire or that tendency that we want to change in a manner that's, we can say, is stronger than other phenomenon which are coming and going in our field of view. But for some reason, in this moment, in this lifetime, there's this identification with this particular behavior that is troubling to the identification with this particular personality. So you have dueling identifications.
Yes, it drives you mad.
You can see it's going nowhere, right? So the idea is that you have to then say, well, I have this tendency in the mind to identify with this personality that wants to change, and I have this tendency in the mind to identify with this behavior. What if I use the strength of that identification to remind myself to ask the question, who am I?
Yes.
Who is it that's thinking these thoughts, identifying with this behavior, identifying with this personality? Who is that? You see, you're using that same tendency toward identification, but now you're using it to liberate.
Yes. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Trying not to give you something you have to give up. I'm trying to give you something you can use in a different way.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Something which is already self-existent for you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. May you be well. May you be happy. May you come to know yourself as you are in this moment, and know yourself to be that which is eternal being, consciousness. You are that. Hari Om Tat Sat.